A failure at the Magic Academy. Altu's grades were good in every subject but one, summoning. His teacher called him an idiot and a weak loser, informing him that his 0 on the summoning exam meant he would have to repeat the year if he couldn't form a pact with a partner by tomorrow. Overwhelmed, Altu told his friend Lilia that he needed to make a pact or he'd have to repeat the year again, a fate that would make him a failure. Lilia grew angry and said she'd take it out on the teacher, but Altu calmed her, resolving to make the best of the day. He retreated to the library, lamenting his stupidity. He had tried to summon a beetle before, and it hadn't worked, so he knew he needed to change something. Compatibility was key to a proper summoning. A book fell on his head, and Altu cried out in pain before realizing it contained all the methods of summoning. He found an amazing method he knew he could apply, and quickly began the ritual. He was horrified when he succeeded, summoning a naked, non-human female demon. The demon told him that from now on, he was her master, and she would do whatever he wanted. Altu, strangely happy, knew he would now pass and advance to the next level. The demon, whose name was Vermile, placed her seal on his hand, promising to be faithful forever. His first request was for her to put on some clothes. Altu remembered the Academy's teachings that demons were evil beings who aimed to destroy the world. He told Vermile this, and she laughed, calling him naive and a fool. She claimed she was a naughty woman and said she was locked in the book for doing a lot of bad things in her past. She told him she could have killed him upon her release, but felt indebted to him for freeing her, and he could terminate the contract whenever he wanted. The next day, Altu brought Vermile to the headmaster, who was in disbelief until Vermile showed him the summoning stamp. Altu was declared a success. Lilia saw Altu with Vermile and was overcome with jealousy and anger, especially since Vermile had managed to hide her horns and look human. Lilia grew angrier after seeing Vermile deliberately approach Altu. She confronted him, demanding to know who the idiot was. Their argument led to a duel, the typical way to resolve conflicts at the Academy. Lilia's demon delivered a powerful blow, but Vermile easily blocked it and finished her off. Lilia, amazed, was defeated. Altu then asked Lilia to be friends with Vermile, and she, having no choice, agreed. That day, Altu and Vermile returned home. Vermile told him his mana power was far greater than he knew and that he just needed to use it well. She began to caress him, making him uncomfortable with her unfamiliar closeness. Vermile's reputation at the Academy grew. One day, a student's dragon ran at full speed through the courtyard. Altu was frightened, but Vermile calmly dislodged the dragon with a single finger, sending it away. During lectures, Altu and his classmates were congratulated on advancing to the next stage. A magic professor explained that things would become more complicated and they would go deeper into the study of magic. Lilia, still jealous, started a new argument, but Altu yelled at her to remember their agreement. Altu then saw 2 senior students, RX and a friend, from a group called the Dragon Knights. He warned Vermile that they were evil and trying to take over the academy, but she told him not to worry. Altu decided to punish them, casting a spell that trapped them inside a snow globe. RX summoned a dinosaur that shattered the ice. Vermile hugged Altu and gave him a golden mana, stunning everyone. Altu used the power to kill the dinosaur, and Vermile shouted at RX to apologize, which he did. Vermile asked Altu what he wanted to achieve, and he said he wanted to make enough contributions to the magical world to earn a platinum medal, not just a gold one. Lilia appeared again, and she and Vermile began fighting, which Altu believed would never end. The principal met with Altu, Lilia, and 2 other second-year students, Marcus and Cheryl, to announce a test to choose a school representative. They had to get a pound flower protected by fierce animals. Lilia tried to use an invisibility potion, but only she became invisible. Her clothes remained. Altu, meanwhile, received double the mana from Vermile to fight the dog guarding the flower. Lilia made it to the flower, but the dog's keen sense of smell allowed them to find her anyway. Altu arrived and delivered a powerful blow, and Vermile intervened to finish the dogs off. Lilia grabbed the flower and gave it to Altu, saying he was more important. But the flower flew to Cheryl, who won. Altu wasn't angry, and over time, he and Vermile grew closer. She was amazed by a dessert he gave her, saying she had never tried sweets in her hundreds of years of life, which made Altu realize how little he knew about her. Rix and his friends were flying dragons, and Altu told Vermile that he wanted a quieter time at school. Vermile gave Altu some of her candy, and he liked it. Lilia saw Vermile approach Altu and yelled at her to stay away from him in public. Lilia went into the locker room, lamenting that Vermile wanted Altu's attention. Her friend told her to confess her feelings, but she was too ashamed. Vermile, in a moment of panic, found herself in the boys' locker room. Later, Altu saw some of the most powerful students and was impressed. But when he went to take a shower, Vermile was there. He yelled at her, but she told him to trust her to make him better than any other student and help him earn the platinum rank. Altu learned that RX had been beaten and humiliated by his team captain, Chris, for losing to Altu and Vermile. Altu visited RX, who told him to leave, as his injury was because of Altu. Hearing this, Altu and Vermeille decided to challenge Chris. Chris was cocky and said she'd finish them in seconds. The battle began, but Vermeille realized Chris was different. Chris blocked all their attacks and even hit Vermeille. Altu, worried, told Vermeille they could end the fight, but she was determined. She taunted Chris for having to put so much effort into a second-grade student, but Chris ignored her. Vermeille summoned ice crystals, but Chris dodged them and used her dragon to fly back to the battle. Chris shouted for them to apologize, but Altu asked her why she was so cocky and looked down on everyone. Chris laughed and said it was because everyone was afraid of her dragon. As Chris attacked, Vermeille told Altu to calm down and that she would handle it. Chris felt a new kind of strength in them. Altu summoned all his power and delivered a devastating blow. Chris was amazed, and even more so when Altu and Vermeille disappeared. It was a trap. Altu delivered a crushing blow to Chris's neck from behind, winning the fight. Everyone was surprised, as Chris had been the strongest student. Lilia was angry, telling herself that the boring student she knew had beaten the best student with Vermeille's help. She nearly hit someone with a rock, but Altu told her to stop. A professor named Oigiel approached Altu, congratulating him, but warning him not to do it again. RX found Chris sweeping floors and took the broom from her, cleaning in her place. In the following days, Vermeille continued her seductive behavior toward Altu, who didn't know how to stop her. She told him she loved him very much. Altu asked Professor Oigiel if love between a demon and a human was possible. Oigiel, though surprised, said it was rare, but possible. Altu became afraid of having a child with her. The next day, he asked Vermeille if she only loved him for his mana. Vermeille was shocked. She told him she loved him for no reason and that she recycled his mana to give it back to him in a stronger form, hugging him as she spoke. He thanked Oigiel later, who noticed Altu's mood had changed and asked if he had fallen in love with a demon. Altu was careful not to answer, and Oigiel told him to be careful anyway. After Altu left, Oigiel called a senior student, Emma, and hugged her, but she was later found frozen in a room. School officials Rua and Jessica met to discuss it, noting that Emma's symptoms were strange and that no one at the school had such strong ice magic. In a lecture, Altu and Vermeille learned about the role of each person with their partner. Vermeille listened intently, and later, at home, reminded Altu to take her body measurements. As the teacher had said, Lilia, spying on them, was fed up and decided to stop the idiot. She used an invisibility potion and entered the room. Altu almost discovered her, but he and Vermeille left to go shopping. He paid close attention to everything Vermeille liked and wrote it down. While shopping, Vermeille wanted to buy sweets, but Altu told her she needed a healthy diet. She sadly sat on the floor, reminding Altu of a child. He relented and said he would buy her one piece of candy, and she showered him with kisses, embarrassing him. A frightened man appeared, asking Altu for help. It was RX's brother, and he had come for help because Chris and RX were battling. Altu arrived to see RX winning, and even Chris, who was nearly defenseless, urged Altu to run. Altu bravely asked if RX was the idiot who had done this, and RX laughed before preparing to attack Altu. A popular student named Alina arrived and used a Sword of Justice spell to finish RX off. Despite his actions, Chris was worried about him. 3 days later, Rua announced at a meeting that one person was behind all the strange events and that RX was not conscious during the incident. Chris, humiliated by her defeat, stormed out. The academy decided to hold the bronze rank magic exams, and Altu was excited. Lilia taunted him, but Altu noticed that Vermeille had been acting strangely and had left without a word. Lilia, happy, asked Altu to study with her, but he was more concerned about Vermeille. Vermeille, meanwhile, was investigating the strange evil forces at the academy and suspected Oigiel. She confronted him, accusing him of spreading evil forces and warning him not to touch Altu. Oigiel injected her with a magical substance, making her look demonic. Altu, with Lilia, suddenly felt his seal brightly illuminated and knew Vermeille was in danger. All students sensed a powerful evil force. Altu and Lilia arrived to find Oigiel controlling Vermeille with a heavy metal chain. Oigiel laughed, saying he had developed a magical substance no one else had to control her. Vermeille broke free and ran at Oigiel, but Altu stood in her way, and she accidentally stabbed him. Vermeille became even more ferocious. As Altu was dying, she hugged him, and he told her to calm down and not be afraid. Seeing the wound, Vermeille kissed him and gave him her golden mana, healing him. Oigiel, amazed, injected himself with a similar substance and transformed into a hybrid demon. Vermeille finished him off. Lilia was terrified, but Altu reassured her he was fine. Vermeille revealed that she had made a great sacrifice. She connected her mana to his, making their hearts beat at the same time. She said she would die if he did. Altu was sad, saying she shouldn't have done that because he was human and could die at any time. But she said she couldn't have felt good if she hadn't. The academy imprisoned Oigiel, and the students he had affected went back to normal. Altu was upset that Vermeille was treating him differently, and when he asked her why, She said she couldn't do it anymore. She said he had seen her true demonic form and was scared. Altu was angered by her words and told her he wanted her by his side. He kissed her, much to her surprise and delight. He told her he wanted her with him forever, and not to speak such words again. She was happy, wondering if he was really in love with her. The news spread that Oigil was responsible for the events. Vermeille announced she would be absent to regain her composure. Lilia, surprisingly, went to meet her and told her she always suspected she was hiding something. Vermeille explained that she tried not to cause trouble, but Oigil found her, and now her life was tied to Altu's. Lilia, jealous, hit her on the head. Altu looked for Vermeille in vain, but she returned, having wandered to forget everything. She told him how his kind words affected her, and how she couldn't stop thinking about him. They kissed again, this time for love, and decided they would always be there for each other. A platinum-ranked mage named Ayate and another named Heliodor discussed Oigil's failure. They decided they would handle matters themselves. Altu returned to school with Vermeille and was welcomed as a hero for saving the academy. His friends reminded him of the upcoming magic exams. He told Vermeille they had to do their best to get their bronze rank. They were late to class, and Lilia scolded them for being perverts. A student named Alina called him to a student council meeting with Rua and Jessica. Altu feared Vermeille had been exposed as a succubus, but they told him that Oigil had escaped. They thanked him for his bravery and apologized for his injuries, which confused him. But before the meeting ended, a sword was at his throat. The students asked if he was hiding anything, and Altu, with no intention to lie, admitted Vermeille was a demon and that he had a demon's heart. They were shocked but decided not to punish him, believing his demonic ability would work in their favor. They asked him to join the student executive board. Altu thought they wanted to keep an eye on him, but the president said they needed him because he was strong enough to face Chris, the most powerful student. Lilia was surprised and upset when Altu told her what happened. Altu was happy to be the first second-year student to join the council. Alone with Vermeille, he told her what happened. She grew serious, warning him about the president's strange gaze and how she didn't feel human. Vermeille said Altu was lucky he had accepted the invitation, or he would have been beheaded. Altu was angry with himself for not being stronger to protect her, realizing their secret could no longer be hidden and she was in danger. He told her he wanted to be stronger than before. The student council president, angry after the meeting, drew her sword, threatening Vermeille and shattering a statue's neck. Later, Altu told Vermeille he was confident he would become the strongest person in the world. He walked into a hall he didn't know and found Jessica and her friends naked. They panicked and introduced him to the student council president, who, instead of scolding him, showed them a magical spell on a deck of cards she had taken from a defeated wizard. She explained that the cards had formulas a gold-ranked wizard couldn't read, meaning their enemies were platinum-ranked. Meanwhile, Ayate and Heliodor were waiting for a platinum-ranked witch named Quackomia, who was late. She said she had killed the priest she was meeting, the world's best user of platinum magic. Ayate and Heliodor left, saying she would face the consequences, and in their hands, they had pictures of Altu and Vermeille. Altu began having nightmares of a witch choosing between the path of benefiting mankind and serving Vermeille. He woke in a panic and went to study for the bronze rank exam. Vermeille told him not to worry, but he remembered his past frustrations and knew he had to get a good score. The next morning, he saw the book he had freed Vermeille from and wanted to read it, but left for the academy. Lilia was excited for the test, and Altu was nervous but calm, reminding himself of the mana Vermeille had given him. The students gathered in a hall with a huge crystal and a stern teacher. Colonel Ferenc, a prominent officer of the Royal Magical Corps, began the exam. He explained that students had to fill the crystal with their mana, and a higher amount meant a better score. Many students failed miserably until Lilia figured out that she had to direct her energy to the flame inside the crystal. She passed with the highest score. Colonel Ferenc was not satisfied with the students, saying he would be disappointed if the last student, Altu, was the same. Altu, with Vermeille, approached the crystal. Other students ridiculed him for bringing his mother with him. Ferenc said he knew Altu had tremendous energy. Altu did something different. He approached the center of the flame, confirming that the crystal was a mana-reflecting vessel designed with a straight line inside that made it difficult to stabilize mana. He rotated around it, which Ferenc realized showed that he understood the test. Altu found the best point but deliberately chose a difficult one to pump his mana into. His energy was so immense that it stunned Ferenc, who wondered if Altu was so powerful that he could pump mana even from a wrong point. Vermeille urged him to continue and show them the real terror, so he pumped mana until the crystal shattered, scattering glass everywhere. Though Altu was afraid he had failed, the colonel said he passed with flying colors on the practical exam, but a bad score on the theoretical one would still be a failure. Ferenc told his assistant that not even a gold-ranked wizard could have broken the crystal. Altu and his classmates went to rest before the theory exam. Lilia taunted Marcus about his secret weapons, and Marcus told her he had a magic marker for the test. At the exam hall, a student from another academy was envious of Altu. A stranger arrived and stabbed the envious student, apologizing and saying he needed to borrow his name. Meanwhile, Jessica and the student council president talked about Altu and Vermeille, and the president said they should support the couple as long as they caused no trouble. Altu arrived late to the exam hall and was surprised the seat next to him was empty. The stranger arrived and sat next to him. Altu saw the questions and thought he could answer them all, but he noticed the stranger, I8, slept through most of the exam. I8 woke up and answered all the questions in record time, making Altu believe he was a gold or platinum student. A school official burst in, stopping the test because a body had been found in a restroom. Altu was certain I8 had done it. I8 tried to leave, but Colonel Ferenc stopped him, revealing he was the youngest platinum-ranked mage with unmatched strength. I8 turned the room into a battlefield with cannons and attacked everyone. Vermeil couldn't stop him, but Altu, in a rare act of courage, rushed forward to honor their contract, using both golden and silver mana. I8 mocked him, but Altu kept advancing, promising to protect her. I8 severely injured him, but Altu got up and attacked again. I8 knocked him down and said he would use Vermeille to destroy the world. Vermeille transformed into her demonic form, but Ayade bound her with chains, neutralizing her magic. Altu, determined not to be defeated, was told by Ayate not to ruin the party. Suddenly, the book Vermeille had been locked and appeared, and the witch from Altu's nightmares emerged. She introduced herself as the Witch of the Beginnings and told him she was the one who locked Vermeille away at her request because of the bad things she had done. The witch asked Altu if he could take care of Vermeille, and he said he would. She gave him a key, saying they would enter Vermeille's mind to access the memories she wanted to get rid of, and warned him that he would be trapped forever if he couldn't save her. The witch said Vermeille's story began 550 years ago. Altu was shocked to see Vermeille as a little girl living happily in a nunnery with a kind nun named Nili and other children. The witch said Nili knew the truth about Vermeille, but took her in. Altu watched as the neighborhood children abused Vermeille, throwing stones at her when they realized she was a demon. Nili hugged Vermeille, telling her she deserved better. When a plague spread, the locals blamed Vermeille, and their attacks grew more ferocious. Nili told Vermeille to run away, tearfully apologizing that she couldn't protect her. Vermeille, scared but calm, promised she'd be fine. As soon as she left, she heard the townspeople say they would cut her up when they found her. She ran back to Nili's house, afraid they would hurt her family after she escaped, but her shock was immense when she found Nili and the children hanging. The townspeople wanted to kill her, but Vermeille transformed into her demonic form and set fire to the town, burning it to the ground. The witch told Altu that Vermeille had become a recluse who didn't like to socialize. Altu entered Vermeille's mind, finding her crying over the catastrophe. He hugged her, saying everything would be okay, and that even if the whole world abandoned her, he would always be there. He told her he loved her. The shackles broke, and they returned to the present, surprising Iete with their strength. Iete began to use his most powerful spells and weapons, taunting Altu about how Vermeille was an evil succubus, and her energy was cursed. Altu told Ayate he was stupid, and that Vermeille was a wonderful person who was saddened by what happened in the city. Altu and Vermeille changed their strategy from defense to offense, combining their energy to form an arrow that destroyed Iete's weapons. Iete was astonished, but as he prepared to renew his attack, Heliodor arrived, telling him time was up and they had to go back. Iete reluctantly left, promising to return. Altu and Vermeille realized the witch was still there. She told Altu to protect Vermeille, saying the world would turn against him if he stayed by her side. He promised no harm would come to her. The witch told Vermeille to protect Altu, as he truly loved her, and then disappeared. The next day at the academy, Lilia ran and hugged Altu. Jessica then challenged him to a fight and was surprised when he easily knocked her sword away. Chris then fought him, telling him he lacked physical strength and experience, and knocked him down. After the fight, Chris told Altu he was strong. Altu told her he wanted to be strong to protect Vermeille and decided to work on his weaknesses. He took Vermeille home, and she thanked him, telling him her heart had been pounding since he said he loved her. At a student council meeting, Altu gave the strongest answer to what they should do to fight their enemies. He would go anywhere to hunt them down and protect Vermeille.